Hey guys, it's Shane here from Tank Hunter Miniatures, and today we're talking about the latest codex just to be released, the Chaos Space Marines. Now straight up, this is a really good codex. They did a wonderful job with this one. It really comes down to what makes a good codex, and that's a lot of detachments. The more detachments, the better. There's so much variety. You have entirely different ways to play this army and completely different styles, different units you can bring. It really feels different with each detachment, so that's really great. I think they've done a great job. As we said with the Tau one, you had 4 options. 2 were basically the same. One of them was pretty bad and the other was good playing with battle suits. But for us, looking at which detachment you should bring for your tanks, there is so many good choices. There isn't like a real bad one. Like, some of them just affects infantry, but if you're doing infantry heavy and just want the tanks to back it up, it's gonna do well still. Like, they're not gonna get buffed directly, but the buffs it does to infantry and stuff like that, it's just really gonna help. So there's not a bad choice of detachment at all in this whole book, so that's really great. It's made it a bit trickier figuring out which one is going to be the better for your tanks. There's a couple that really stand out, but there's not a bad choice. So let's just go straight into it and break down what you're going to need to do. So first, I just wanted to show off what my list is going to be for Chaos Space Marines. So we have the Warpsmith up the top. Of course, he gets Lone Operative when next to a vehicle, so I'll pretty much keep him right next to the Land Raider just to give that the good buff. Just keep him with a +1 to hit at all times, because he's going to be a good damage sink. Like, he's there literally to tank, so he's a big target. So you run him up front and he's going to absorb some damage, so he's going to need some repairs, he's going to need some buffs. Then we have the 2 Predator Annihilators, so you got good anti-tank, anti-large going on with them, because it's kind of hard to get, aside from the Land Raider. They don't have a lot of options compared to like regular Space Marines. Just the extent of the tanks isn't there, but it's very similar. But what they do have, of course, is the Demon Engines. So 3 Forge Fiends, I figure I'll run them pretty much all plasma. Like, the Hades autocannon is good, but I just think you've got the Venom Crawlers and they have the autocannons as well, so that's good for anti-small infantry. So having the plasma cannons as your counter to heavy infantry, that's going to be really good. So as you can see, we've got the Predators, the Land Raider, the Hellbrutes, and the Venom Crawlers. And of course, Venom Crawlers great in combat as well, so they're a good hybrid unit, same as the Forge Fiends. So, you know, you go straight up the middle with the tanks, and then on each flanks, you bring the Demon Engines just to vanguard around. And that really gives a good balance of how you're playing this army, different styles. So yeah, that's the army. So we look at what's going to be best to use this guy. So out of all the detachments, I've picked my top 5 that I think will work really well with this type of army. And like I said, you could pick the other ones, but this I think really syncs better. So we'll go with this one. Maybe I'll go through the other ones at a later date, but this is what you want to do for now. So let's look at Veterans of the Long War. It basically turns your Chaos Space Marines into regular Space Marines, giving them the Oath of Moment, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's kind of not as unique as the others, but it's still good. It shows that they're still, like, these guys are thinking like Space Marines. They're thinking smart, choosing targets. They're not just going out crazy, just listening to the warp. They're thinking tactically. So this is a really cool one for your Black Legion type army. Now, the main strats you could play here is the Contemptuous Disregard, which is just Armor of Contempt. There's a couple in here that are just the same stratagem with different names, and it's weird because in the Space Marines, just a lot of the detachments had, I'm pretty sure all of them had Armor of Contempt, so just call it Armor of Contempt. So that's a bit weird, but anyway, that's someone's choice. The other good one, Let the Galaxy Burn. So you've got a unit that ignores cover when it shoots. That is always good. I wish the tanks could take advantage of the ability to automatically get the attacks of torrent weapons up to 6, but there isn't really any flamer weapons on tanks, so yeah, you won't be using that one. But yeah, ignoring cover, that can be very good. That can really help, especially because a lot of the demon engines, you know, they're only AP 1. So to ignore the cover, that makes their weapons so much more effective when you've only got AP 1. The other one you could use is the Bringers of Despair, you know, lock something into combat and have it so it fights first. You know, it's clinch, you know, and it's a bit expensive, so it's there if you really need it. I don't think you will, but you might. So you'd really bring this army if you were playing against something that had a low model count. Think of an elite army like Custodes or Knights, some Space Marine builds, where there isn't a lot of targets, there's just bigger, stronger ones, like a big squad of Terminators you want to take down. That's, you know, the majority of your opponent's points. So, like I said, it can work against everything, but that's really when you want to use it to shine. When you can pick a target that's important and just cripple your opponent's army that way. But it'll still work, yeah. So the Black Legion one, really good with tanks. A lot of it just benefits everything, so tanks are not exempt from being buffed pretty well with this. So then we got the Renegade Raiders, your old school Red Corsairs. So these guys are great. Giving assault to everything. That is insanely good, especially for a shooting army. If you're not planning to charge, just there's no reason never to advance. And then the extra armor penetration against an objective marker, that is insanely good, because it's just going to stop people from wanting to hold an objective. They're not going to want to stand there when you can come so fast into their face and there's nothing they can do about it. You're just going to shoot them off. So this is really great for a shooting army, like it sort of hints at bikes and stuff like that, the mounted units. But yeah, tanks can take full advantage of this as well. So if you want a really fast play style, just get up the board really fast to shoot everything. This is going to be really fun. This is going to really do a good job at that. And of course, you've still got the Armor of Contempt stratagem, so that's always going to tank. That keeps them around even longer. The Scour and Seize, that gives you the sniper ability, so you can just use a las cannon to just take out a captain or something. It doesn't even matter. So that's crazy. That's really powerful, just to take out a character like that if he's on the objective, especially because there's a lot of game modes where you want to get characters on objectives to get extra points. That just really puts a dent in their playstyle as well. So yeah, this is really good if you're playing against a really slow moving faction that you can just get up fast, really take advantage of your board control, something like Guard or AdMech. You just want to really outpace them, so this is really good for that. Now the Fellhammer Siege Host, basically being the Iron Warriors with their Iron Fortitude. This is going to be so good for tanks, because the neg 1 to be wounded against weapons that are stronger, so all your tanks getting shot at by las cannons, big anti-armor weaponry, neg 1 to wound. The most times you're going to get wounded on is a 4+. It's only a 50-50 with your strongest weapon, so that's incredibly strong. So you can bring up these big tough guys and they're just not going to go down. So this is really something, yeah, pretty much every model can take advantage of, but especially your tanks, because they're going to be hard to bring down regardless. But now the really strong weapons are having trouble doing it. That's even better. So Iron Fortitude, that is crazy good. This is going to be a really strong one. This might be the best one for bringing tanks. I really think so. And it makes sense. I mean, they're Iron Warriors. This makes all the sense. So you can take advantage, of course. Got the best stratagems as well, I'm pretty sure. So the Pitless Cannonade, that is brutal. Getting your crits hits to a 5-up, that's really going to help just either get your lethal hits or just proc up your sustained hits, so that's great. Now the Point Blank Destruction. So you can put that Land Raider up. He can get locked in combat. Now his weapons are pistols. You can just shoot straight through that without any penalty to hit. So this is a really fun one. You can just shoot straight into combat, not giving a damn what's going on. That, you know, it helps you get up and really hold the positions at the front, because you're still going to be effectively shooting by doing this. So that's really cool. And the Steadfast Determination, 5-up Feel No Pain against shooting. This is incredible. So this is a, you know, pretty good chance just to ignore damage from shooting attacks. I mean, that's great. And then Siegecraft, neg 2 from the charge roll. So you can just put a like a Land Raider up front, whack this on him, they're not coming at you, you can, repel them back, you can push them back as you're going forward. So this really suits a tank army style. Everything's so hard to kill, you're just moving on up nice and not even slow, you're going just at normal speed, yet you're not advancing as fast as the Renegade Raiders, but you're just, weathering all these shots, and you're just getting straight up in people's faces and you're just shooting them away. I think this is probably, like I said, the best one for tank army. So Iron Warriors is definitely going to be good. And not if you're just playing tanks. If you're playing Terminators as well, this is going to be hard. So, looking forward to using this one. Now, the Pact-bound zealots, this is the rule we had just in the index. So it's still really good because you got the critical hits on 5s for shooting, or you just Chaos Undivided, you get the rerolls to hit. So it's just decent. Like, it's pretty good for all your units. You can take advantage of this, fighting against anything. So that's always good. I think this is supposed to be word bearers, but really it can be anything because, like I said, you can be undivided, you can be devoted to everything to one god. You really theme this around whatever you like. Just your generic Chaos Space Marines, but it's effective against everything pretty much. And you can do a lot of tricks, like the Profane Zeal, with the reroll to wound, the Skin Shift to gain wounds back. That can be really effective with your tanks that have a lot of wounds and just makes them so they can withstand even more. The Festering Miasma, give a tank stealth. It's basically now a Nurgle tank, and it's neg 1 to shoot and just can't be shot. So you've got a long range guy shooting in the back. That's really defensive for him. So there's a lot of really defensive tricks for this one and a lot of really good damaging ones. So this is just very much a army where you have something to deal with everything. You can think ahead, you can really put your mind to it, and you'll get a lot more out of this. Definitely one I'd recommend. Like, this isn't bad at all. Like, it's not specifically for tanks, but it will work quite well. And lastly, we're looking at this Soul Forged Warpack. This is basically Vashtor's own faction, where you're buffing your demon engines. So this being your Forge Fiend and your Venom Crawlers for us. Gives them their own unique depth to the Soul Forge ability, where they get the +1 to wound. Now, considering their, the strength of weapons is pretty not super high, but above average, your 8s and your 9s, having that +1 to wound, things that you'd normally be wounding on a 4, you're now wounding on a 3. Against infantry, you're now wounding on 2s. So that can be really good. And of course, the 2 attacks in melee as well. So you can really get these guys a lot stronger than they were. So it's a real fun one. You can really go full in to your demonic vehicles, and they'll be pretty good. So for stratagems, you got your Desperate Rage for the extra armor penetration. Your Demon Possession's really good, because just each turn you can just turn a tank into a demon engine, and he's going to get this ability as well. So you can put this on your Land Raider. Your Land Raider las cannon is wounding other tanks that are sort of smaller than it on 2s. So that is insanely good. Like, you can turn this guy into a real demolisher. And Unstoppable Rampage, you ignore the terrain for going through, so you can just drive straight through whatever you like, doesn't even matter. And the Feeding Frenzy, so once you get locked into combat, it sort of stops people from falling back as easy. Like, you tie people up and you just keep them there, whether they like it or not. So a lot of fun things you can do. Like, this is probably the most fun one in there. I'm not sure if it's better than the Fellhammer. I'd say they're almost on even grounds. I'd really like to see these two fight each other just to see who is better. I might have to have a match like that. But yeah, the Soul Forged is just really fun, really thematic. I really like this new style that they're bringing into it. So, like I said, it pretty much just buffs your demon vehicles, but you can turn your regular vehicles into demonic vehicles, and that's going to work even better. So, yeah, a lot of options with this one, a lot of cool stuff you can do. So, I guess you could bring in Vashtor. I'm not sure if Vashtor is really that great yet. We'll wait and see. But yeah, for what this army is doing right now, this is going to be great. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's funny that, for so much in this book, there isn't that much to talk about because it's all good. It's all very straightforward. Like, none of this is confusing. It's all very straightforward. How to use these things, what they're going to be good against. Like, it's just not that tricky to work out. So I think this is going to be a real good time for the Chaos Space Marine players. This is a real good buff. Seeing as they were neglected for a long time, we tend to have long stints where people just forget the Chaos Space Marines are even still around. So this is a very good path. It seems like they're going to take a big part in the storyline coming forward. So until we get an actual Dark Mechanicum army, like, this is pretty good. This suits that need for the time being. So let me know what you guys think, what you're planning to do, which one you found the best, and we'll go from there. But until then, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.